online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hey there, Jessica Jones fans. We have reached it. We have reached the finale of Jessica Jones on Netflix. And thank you for tuning into the AFTERBUZZ TV after show for Jessica Jones. I'm your host, Zach Wilson, and I'm here to introduce you to my fantastic panel. I feel compelled to introduce you first to Mark Donica, who's sitting right next to me.
Thank you very much. I thoroughly appreciate that. You can follow me on Twitter @SoapboxMark. I feel great, guys. I mean, there's some things that I have some issues with, but
there are things that we have issues with.
Oh yes, there's things that you all have issues with.
Yeah,
we have issues.
I have issues with things.
For sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead and continue introducing him.
Emma Fyffe is here.
That's me, Emma Fyffe. You can find me all over the internet @Emma Fyffe.
And Jesse Klein.
Hi everyone. You can find me @JessKlein1. That's JessKlein, the number 1.
And you guys can tweet at me throughout the week, throughout the show, and throughout
Whenever you want.
Till next time at that Zach Wilson. I just want to get right off the top. This episode, episode 13, A.K.A. Smile. I want to hear what your guys' just first reactions were. Like, what are your thoughts about this finale?
I loved all the really genuine, sort of quiet, tender moments that we got in this episode in terms of Jessica being a little more open and honest about her feelings in her relationship with Luke, and also even more so her relationship with Trish.
Yeah.
It was really nice to see her letting her guard down a little, because I don't think at any point in this entire series has she done that.
Yeah.
And you know, it was very pointed that when she and Trish were having the conversation of, oh, I'm going to go into the penthouse and I will call you or text you if I need backup. And Trish was basically saying, okay, but how am I going to know that you're not being controlled? We have to think of something that, like, you would never say. And Trish just started naming off random words. And Jessica said, or like, I love you.
The feels!
Yes!
Yeah, it was a beautiful moment.
It was a beautiful moment.
Yeah.
Also, that moment with her and Luke, where she just cuddles with him and like you can see how like hurt she is that he is hurt, and it's like the first time that because we know the larger story and we know that Luke and Jessica, at least in the comic books, fall in love and get married. Like, we kind of always, I think added electricity to their relationship and it added some romance to it. But I think this was the first time where it was like Jessica is in love with Luke. And it was the first time you really saw it. It wasn't talking about it, but it was just, you could see this moment of tenderness between her and Luke, even though Luke was unconscious.
It was selflessness.
Yeah.
It was her showing selflessness for Luke and saying, I care about you enough to where I don't want to see you again.
Yeah, when you wake up, I won't be around to, ruin your life anymore.
Yeah.
And that's such a painful thing to feel.
Yeah.
And parallels so strongly with the Kilgrave, like how his feelings towards Jessica, because as horrifying as it is, everything that he does, you can tell, especially in this episode, how much he loves her.
Yeah.
And misplaced though it might be, he does love her.
Well, I love that moment when he was on the roof and he was monologuing to himself. It was like, oh yeah, when I get her, I'm gonna make, like, it was such a 10-year-old thing to do. Like, it's like a thing, like your first relationships where it's like, oh yeah, and then I'm gonna make her, like, she's gonna really love me, but I'm gonna be like, no, I'm not going to. And then she's gonna she's gonna really want to love me, and they'll be like, fine. Or maybe I'll just kill her. Like, I don't know. Yeah. Like, it was such like a, it was such an example of how not mature, even though he's incredibly intelligent, not mature Kilgrave is.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And as soon as he had a chance, like at the end, as soon as he realized or thought that he had control over her, all of that was out the window, and he's like, "It's true, it worked, isn't it?"
Right.
He's like, "We'll get past this."
Right.
It's as if she said herself, God.
Yeah.
By taking that control back, quote unquote, taking that control back, he felt that the love was real again.
Yeah.
Which is so bizarre.
It is. It's very bizarre, and it's also in that. And I think that like subconsciously, we probably all had some inkling that, you know, the main thing he wanted to do was, of course, amplify his power so that he would be able to control her again. Never mind the fact that he can control hundreds of thousands of people at once, as far as we can tell. But in that moment, when you realize that really, truly, all he wanted to do was be able to control her again so he could make her love him, it was...
Yeah.
Whew.
And again, they point out in the chat, like, again, we've said this before, but it's not... It's what he thinks love is.
Yes,
it is
absolutely.
Not love. To him, his idea of love is control.
Well, and again, I was going to say, sorry to interrupt, but it just goes back to kind of what you were saying earlier, Jesse, about the fact that, like, he is incredibly intelligent and manipulative. However, emotionally speaking, he's 10.
Yeah.
He's a child.
It feels like like the ending of a movie in his mind, because he's like, I did all of this for you.
Exactly.
Like, I could have these people kill each other right now, but I'm not going to, because I just want to be with you.
Yeah. Again, and it's that idea of that sort of sense of entitlement that we talked about on a previous episode, where, you know, men will sometimes put together in their head this equation of, well, I did all of these things, and I did all of these things right, so now that means I get you as a prize.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, it just applies to people in general.
Yeah,
like,
no, absolutely.
But just, I wanted to, like, men, I definitely do it worse. But just in a relationship.
Yeah, no, women are guilty of it too.
Yeah, but just in a relationship, you have what you see as the story that this must follow.
Yeah.
Whether you saw it at movies, like Kilgrave is straight up says,
I watch TV. Right?
Yeah, like this is an extreme example.
Yeah.
But I know that I've been in relationships before that were tanked more or less because like I wasn't, and maybe I wasn't perfect, but the whole point was I wasn't fulfilling the rom-com version of our story.
Right.
And I never was going to be able to, because I'm not a character.
definitely like my first real relationships were like, I would do things that I didn't want to do, but I thought that were things you're supposed to do.
Right, or you thought that you were supposed to do, or that was what the other person wants you to do, and it would make them happy. Because in a relationship, there is also a certain amount of compromising of yourself that I think you tend to do subconsciously.
Yeah.
Which Kilgrave does not. Kilgrave never gets the feedback of those first people you date, where it's like, hey, you didn't need to do that, or that was really dumb.
And also but it's also it's the unfortunate, it's the sad side of his story, is that it's not that he never got it because no one gave it to him, or that he wouldn't listen. No one was ever capable of giving him that feedback. No one ever, like. Look, the only reason I've been in better relationships is because I learned the hard way what not to do, and that's true of
true.
That's why I've talked about how Kilgrave, an alternate version, isn't that bad about it? Because that's the problem is you are only a product of your experiences, and if
it's very true.
If you don't learn the right thing to do, you'll never do it.
Yeah, I think this show brings up a really interesting observation of the whole nature versus nurture idea.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting, I think, because you see that Kilgrave's parents really are not bad people. They're trying to do what is best for their son, but they lack because if you're too sort of not heavy-handed with a kid, then they're just completely out of control. And so basically, Kilgrave suffers from the fact that, his parents weren't strong enough people to guide him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know if they had the option to be strong.
No, I agree.
Like I think we see that when like the mom is ironing and he wants something and she says, "Just a second, I'm ironing." What happens is you get burned in the face.
Right.
I don't know if they had the option of even being able to do that. Like the best thing they did for their son is they saved his life.
Yeah.
But
I mean, well, speaking of the dad.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Well, we started out with the like he's gonna boost his powers, and he's like, all right, so we got like basically they went and found the fetus that Hope had aborted. And they use Purple Man stem cells.
Yep.
Basically.
It was probably a blastocyst.
Sure.
New resident medic.
Whatever it was, like they used it to create like a new like super purple serum,
right?
Which was actually purple.
It was purple.
Which was purple.
And it injected purple into his veins.
Yeah,
like,
and his face got a little purple.
And we noticed when we were watching, it was almost shot for shot the exact same thing.
Yeah.
You pointed out as the video we saw.
Yeah, that
when
like
he was a
that
little
dead
kid.
on, almost like security style footage of him sitting at the desk, being held down in those close-ups by his dad, being injected, and the pain on his face was exactly that of little Kevin.
Yeah. And then last week, if you watched the show, or earlier this week, Wil said it's going to be grosser than the shears.
Yeah, if you missed our last show when we had Wil Traval, A.K.A. Will Simpson, in the A.K.A. maybe Nuke, in the studio, is what Jesse's referring to. You should go back and watch it.
He's a very good... allow me. After this episode, go back and watch it.
Yeah.
There, I think that...
Now they have
I think they'll do it.
But last week he was like, there's going to be something grosser in the next episode. Just no spoilers, but the shears are just the beginning.
And I had forgotten until...
And seeing Dad armless on the ground was gross.
Pretty bad.
He had to get disarmed.
But then seeing it getting his arms put in the garbage disposal was so... Like, we were like, bad camera, turn away. Just turn away.
Well, with it just in the foreground, like, just like,
it was just
Well, I think from a story perspective, it was a hell of a setup. Yeah. Because we got the setup of the blender.
Yeah.
So when you hear the grinding noise, I'm like, oh, it's somebody's putting everything in the blender. And then it's like, no, super blender. Garbage disposal. Disgusting.
It was so gross. And it's so interesting because, like... Right now, I'm also doing the Ash vs. Evil Dead after show, and I just watched, a Deadite get their head like run through a meat tenderizer, and it was hilarious. This was not funny at all. It's so interesting the different ways you can like frame acts of ultraviolence, and it's like in one scenario it's so funny because it's so over the top, but then in this scenario it was absolutely sincere. Justin, I believe, was the name of the guy that Kilgrave had possessed and was using his penthouse, and basically he had told him, you have to erase Dad from the face of the planet, and that was what he was doing.
And then it became like what Kilgrave has said about like, I didn't tell you to kill her. I didn't like
right.
Like, but I mean, you did. He just like you left it up to that person to interpret your message.
Yeah, like put a bullet in your head.
Yeah. But yeah, watching that the arm just turn and bounce.
Somebody in the chat went, will it blend? Classic series.
Classic.
Damn internet jokes. But yeah, so it was really painful to watch that, and like freaked me the hell out. Like we watched a few of us were able to watch together, and like I think it was me, Jesse, Emma. Didn't we all just go? When it
turned out the Dad was still a little bit alive.
He's still alive. He's still alive.
And also a hell of a last words.
Yeah.
Like such terrible last words are a warning about your son.
Your creation.
Yeah.
In multiple ways.
Well, and it was also so creepy too. This is, going back a little bit when they had the scene of them all in the penthouse, and Kilgrave was saying, oh, what if you injected me with the entire serum? What would that do? And Dad says, oh, there's a 40% chance that it'll make you strong enough that you can, potentially control Jessica, or there's a 60% chance that it'll kill you. And Kilgrave asks him, which one do you want? And he says, for it to kill you.
Yeah. But then also the two dudes were like, yeah,
that'd be great.
Yep.
The Kilgrave interns.
Yeah. what I called them, like the Kilgravenauts.
Yeah. Oh, and one of them drank Drano to kill himself. No, he injected it. That's right. Oh.
Even crazier.
The purple buddies.
The purple buddies. The Nurples.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. That's really good.
Purple Man and his Nurples.
Yeah. I'm glad I thought of it.
You did think of it.
Yeah, very good joke. Thank you. Don't worry, the joke will die soon. I watched the episode about 24 hours ago. Not quite.
Yeah. We watched it 24 minutes before.
Yeah, right.
Sick burn.
But so there's a lot going on with Kilgrave, but we got to talk about the big moment, obviously, the kill shot. Just like that
Smile.
moment. So let's start with the lead up to it, because there's the chase. Jesse caught something funny.
Oh yeah, Kilgrave quotes Jurassic Park twice in the final action scene. He tells the cops to shoot her, and then when he gets there, what was the other one? I just
Clever.
He calls Jessica a clever girl. He's like, clever girl.
Totally unintentional.
Not
I'm
intentional,
sure.
but it was really funny.
Yeah.
I was like, Jurassic Park, and then a few minutes later, I was like, Jurassic Park.
But as they chase her through. I mean, he's got this whole place, this whole ferry station, cordoned off. All the police, they're there, ready to take her out. And just.
Well, they did the Trish misdirect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that was. I mean, the walking in, we all bought it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was brilliant. That's the best way to not get Kilgrave.
Yeah.
It's see no evil, hear no evil.
Yeah.
Do no evil.
Yeah.
I guess.
As she got closer and closer and the cops showed up, there was just a little tiny piece of me that's that might be Trish. But I was still very surprised when it was revealed.
Yeah.
But again, it was. I liked that in this episode, Jessica. I mean, of course she was still protecting Trish, but she didn't try to push her out and not have her be involved.
Yeah.
It was nice to see the two of them cooperate, and we'll get to it in the but the final moment where you knew everything was okay was also an interaction between Jess and Trish. So
yeah. I mean, let's just get to it. That's what we want to talk about.
Yeah.
Is they get there, and once they're outside, and you've got these people brawling to kill each other.
Yeah.
They're brawling until Kilgrave is
Says stop.
Yells stop. So I love that. It's such a little touch, and it's the most obviously the powers are being used, but it's the most superhero looking thing.
Yes.
That we've had in the series is when, or I should say comic book looking thing, is that moment when he yells and his face turns purple, and that's when his he's just so powerful.
Yeah.
That is most powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We know that Jess fakes her way through this whole thing.
Yeah.
There's a part of me that thinks that the stop may have actually stopped
affected her.
Yeah, she stops in her tracks. That doesn't mean that she's going to stop everything she's doing. Because
Yeah.
she can interpret it as, I stopped walking.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, because I was sort of 50. I didn't go into this thinking 100% she was definitely faking it. I didn't.
You're not supposed to.
Yeah, exactly. It was still very. It was a huge relief and wonderful moment when it was revealed that she was indeed not under his control.
Yeah, she just needed to get him close.
Yeah.
That's all she was trying to do, was bait him to get close to her. And so
waiting for him to say words that would allow her to, basically.
Yeah.
Like, that was the thing. She needed him. She either needed him to walk up to her or for him to say, "Come here, Jessica."
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And so that's the game she was playing, but to see him take Trish and be like, maybe Patsy's the one, and like, it's like, according to you, I'll be raping her every day, skin touching skin. It was so gross and creepy, and
meant to. I mean, he knew exactly what would scare Jessica the most, what would freak her out the most, and like, that's the thing. Describing the thing that is most horrifying to a person is the perfect way to just get under their skin.
And when he asked her to kiss him and mean it, and then also when he asks her to smile, it kind of gets to how gross he is. Where he's not just telling you to do things, he's telling you how you feel.
Yeah.
Which is such an example of the kind of guys they're trying to represent. The guys that they're trying to represent, when they say, "Hey, smile," when they're talking to a girl walking down the street, they're trying to tell you how to feel for them. And like, it's such a, like, it's not subtle at all that they're calling this behavior out.
Yeah. But it's not over the top either.
It's not over the top.
No.
But it is a clear kind of thing where it's like, you don't have the right to tell someone else how they feel.
Yeah. Exactly.
And it's like, the fact that's the name of the episode and the last thing she says to Kilgrave, I think is very purposeful, for it's like, you have the right to your own feelings, and don't let other people tell you how to feel.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well put, Jesse.
That's very well.
Thank you.
I applaud you, sir.
I didn't write it down. I just have a list of superheroes.
At CSpiderMX on Twitter said that the best part of us periscoping the episode was the face that I made when Kilgrave made Trish.
Yeah, if anybody wants, because it'll still be up, I think, for another day or two or something. Check out our Twitters. I know it was on my Periscope
I
account.
tweeted it. I retweeted it too.
We Periscope me, Emma, and Jesse watching the finale before we came in here. Mark was unfortunately working. He was like 2 doors down while he was working.
Someone was watching it, and they said that the Periscope feed, they thought the Periscope feed was frozen, but then they realized it was just us all speechless as we were watching.
There was a lot of moments where it was just like, I couldn't move.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of speechless moments and not being able to make anybody move, I have a proposition for you all that I think may blow your minds.
Okay.
Kilgrave isn't dead.
Okay.
Because
what makes you
the
say
entire thing that they were pushing is, and you even said it yourself, you can't hear him and you can't see him.
Yeah.
Right.
So what if he was controlling you to see him? And it was like a projection into your mind, and that's how powerful.
I would agree that would be possible under the rules that Kilgrave has set up.
Yes.
But
why would they establish all of that and not use it?
I really hope that that's not what they did, because that would cheapen this whole series.
That would make it so anticlimactic.
Yeah,
I would rather it gets resurrected by some mumbo jumbo.
Totally agree.
Instead,
if you really need the Purple Man around, something like that, or
like, I don't know, like some ninjas from Japan that know how to resurrect dead people. We happen to be in Hell's Kitchen could resurrect anyone if they want to.
I mean, but I'd rather we open up a weird like cross company portal to Arrow and throw him in the Lazarus pit than have him like have tricked us.
Or could just have the hand.
I agree. Because like the ending as it stands it wasn't like, oh my gosh, this is the best ending ever, but it was very realistic to me and satisfying the way that it went down. So I really hope that it did actually go down. You know what I mean?
But that's the thing, is we've had so many times in this series where we did get that satisfying ending, only to get the rug swept out from under us. And while I do agree, it wouldn't be as good of a story if he didn't die in this fashion. I honestly thought that the 40-60 was going to be his downfall. Like, he was going to push himself all the way to the limit, to the point where the choice was removed from Jessica to be able to kill him. So even in his last moments, he took away her ability to choose to kill him.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So that's where I thought it was going. I still really like the ending because just from a pure guttural fuck yeah standpoint, 100%. Yeah. So just presenting a couple of things.
Here's the thing that
I wish she'd said "smile, you son of a bitch," just for Jaws. I wish she did say "smile." I just want to end with "son of a bitch."
We just need more Spielberg references.
Yeah, please.
What was I gonna say? Okay, so overall, like at this, like it wasn't surprising that she kills him.
No.
There weren't. I would say through this episode, other than maybe Dad waking up, there weren't any big surprises.
Excuse me? Seeing Miss Claire in the background of the hospital?
And then Claire.
That was awesome.
That was
I didn't
amazing.
expect that. Fair enough, but that's you know that's not what I mean.
The brain needle.
Yeah.
And and we'll get into Claire in just a minute. She's next on my topics list, but I hesitate to make this comparison just because it's such an over. I want to compare. In my head, it compares to the finale of Breaking Bad, and that the reason I hesitate to do that is just because that's such a lofty thing. Like, because people put Breaking Bad on this
such
like
a pedestal. Yeah.
But it was that the ending of Breaking Bad was great. It didn't surprise me. Without getting into any of the specifics, I saw most of it coming, but that didn't take away anything from it.
Yeah.
I still enjoyed every moment, and it was exactly what it was supposed to be.
No.
This is how it should end.
Yeah.
And there was just enough little like twists and turns that it still was fun to watch, even having a good idea of where we were going.
I was going to say, and you know what I think it is, and I think that the reason that it is still so satisfying as an ending, even though you see the majority of the major, like, plot points, advancing actions, if you will, coming, is the reason that we can see them coming is because we've been taken on this roller coaster ride throughout the entire series, where up to this point, it's like, I don't know what's going to happen. So that by the time we get to the ending, this is the only way it can end.
Yeah.
And I think it also just kind of helped thematically seal this kind of cycle of abuse story where at the end it's a satisfying ending where we see things close off, but then it also kind of leaves us wanting, because when you're an abuse survivor, there is no end to it. There is no end. Kilgrave is dead, but that does not mean that Jessica is healed. That does not mean that Trish is healed. That does not mean that it's over for them. There are good days and there are bad days, but you're always an abuse survivor. And so I think that ending where it's the long hallway shot and people are calling is kind of representing that there are still going to be things that come up that trigger. There's still going to be things. There are still people out there who are suffering. And I mean,
she'll see Mark walking down the street in his purple shirt and just like grab him and throw him.
And get hit by a car.
What can I say? I turned heads on the street because I asked them to.
That's
your
not
body,
a thing you can say.
your dead body in the street. Thanks to Jessica Jones, will turn a lot of heads.
You asked what can you say? That's not a thing you can say.
That's not a thing. You can say.
See, the person who really turned ahead was Jessica in this episode.
Oh, quite literally.
Yeah. It worked. I enjoyed it.
Well, and again, and I touched on this a little before, like I really liked that final moment when you knew that Jessica was okay and she wasn't being controlled by Kilgrave, that she was face to face with Kilgrave and he told her to smile, and then he said, now say I love you, and she looks right over at Trish and says I love you, and then snaps his neck. It was good.
That was
amazing.
Liked it. That's the thing I really liked about this episode, is it wasn't about Jessica choosing to be a hero. It was about the people around her choosing for her to be a hero. Like Claire and Malcolm had that. We'll get to Claire, but they had that amazing kind of conversation where it's like these people need us to remind them what they're fighting for and what makes them good and what to remind them like the difference between a bad guy and a good guy. And I think that was like Claire, like Trish, Claire, and Malcolm, all this entire episode basically is what made Jessica so heroic.
Yeah.
Not Jessica really, but these people who helped her. And like we see at the end when Malcolm answers the phone for her, she's deleting people who are like getting beaten by their boyfriends and getting like protection money.
Yeah.
And Malcolm's the one who decides to answer the phone, not Jessica.
Yeah, I mean, those are all people, it sounded like, that really needed help. And I was surprised. I kept, like, at first I'm like, oh, she's just not going to, like, deal with, like, a renter problem for now. Which, for a moment, I was like, who's pushing you as real estate landlords? But now,
it's Tombstone.
That was the other thing is that this episode finally established where we are in the Marvel timeline. Is that we're post Daredevil. But those moments. So that reference would not be. It was just a dick landlord, like you find in New York. But that was a huge point in Jessica's sort of emotional arc. Is that like she's gone through all of this, only to wind up more or less where we found her. But with like, because I think just like you guys were saying, like you can fight off all of this. You can put your attacker in the grave by your own hand, so that you know 100% that he is not coming back for you. But it doesn't. It doesn't change what it has made you.
It doesn't undo what happened to you.
Punishment of the attacker does not fix what the attacker did.
Absolutely.
It helps. It probably helps, and it helps a lot of people find closure and help and move on as much as they can. But it will never take it away.
Sounds like a Frank Castle thing to say.
And trust me, we're going to talk about
we gotta
future.
Get there,
we're going to talk about the future. Okay, so much more to talk about. Let's touch on, while we're talking about other superheroes. Let's talk about Claire Temple showing up. I noticed like a good 30 seconds before you guys did. I was like, this was our time. Like, I think I didn't say words. I was just like, oh! And you guys are like, why are you yelling?
The moment she was on screen, dude.
I
second
loved the moments between Claire and Jessica because like
they were so great,
just real sassy towards each other. But seeing the difference in character, even though their characters are kind of similar, and like the way they speak, the way they kind of talk back,
it's both like, I am so over this shit. When it's just everything.
But I love those moments. I love the character building. We got a character building episode for Claire. It's not even the main show.
I know.
And it was like so cool to see her there and work on Luke and pull brain fluid out of his expanding head.
Gross. Well, and I again, like the dynamic between Claire and Jessica was so nice. And I think having Claire be the crossover character again was just it was so smart. Because it gave us some context as to when in the timeline this is taking place. As we now know, it's after Daredevil. But like, it just gave us that like little feeling of being in the same world without like having Daredevil on Jessica Jones.
And
if Daredevil came in and helped her beat Kilgrave, it would completely defeat the purpose of the show.
100%. I didn't want Daredevil. I
would have liked to see Matt Murdock for sure.
I didn't need to by any means. It would have been fun to see Matt Murdock, seeing Claire Temple, like we're calling her Night Nurse, just like because they've basically established her as that character without calling her that.
As Wil Traval put it, a character that she may or may not be.
But definitely is.
But definitely is. Shut up. So, her coming in was great. I think her and Luke Cage getting introduced that way, where like they only had a moment together. We know that Rosario Dawson is going to be a recurring character in the Luke Cage series coming next year. So this was a great way to start that and sort of foreshadow what's going to be, and that's going to be the interesting thing is Claire Temple looks like she's going to be the through character, the Coulson, if you will, of the Netflix world.
Yeah. Well, and it's really nice to see that it's centered around this character who is like we were talking about that conversation between she and Malcolm of like we exist to remind these people why they do what they do, and so it was cool to see her, this character that you as the audience are kind of you're more going on her journey than anybody else's because you don't have super strength, you don't have super heightened senses, but you could be Claire.
It also helped remind us of a character that was super important in Daredevil.
Yeah.
That we didn't get in Jessica Jones, and I think it was the only thing that I have against Jessica Jones is the character of Hell's Kitchen is not very present in the show, and having her back, because in Daredevil, we go back and watch Daredevil, it's all about like Hell's Kitchen is a very prominent theme and character in the show. I don't know if Jessica Jones needs it, but it definitely felt like that was lacking in the show. But Claire being there reminded us about like the kind of like, you know, pain and suffering that the people are going through.
I don't know. I think Malcolm did a good enough job filling that type of a role, but from a different perspective, from the social aspect as opposed to the physical aspect. That Claire helped supplant.
I feel like Malcolm was so specialized because he was, you know, because he was Kilgrave. Like it felt like a little bit isolated from.
I can see that. The fact that he's turned like
into a social worker.
He represents the ideal Hell's Kitchen. Of here's this problem, it's full of drug dealers and all of these sorts of people, and now look at how you got me talking like and then he makes the turnaround and makes his life better, and the city is beating him down, but he's still like, you know what, no, there's still good to be done here.
I feel like Malcolm is another, like, it would be nice to see Malcolm cross into, you know, just show up sort of like with Claire showing up, it was very justified, but it would be really nice to just like see Malcolm in another one of the Netflix series.
Really, just on like Secretary's Day, Karen and Malcolm get each other like gifts. Just something really stupid and like silly, like they meet at the coffee shop and we never see that, but it's just like, who's that from? Oh, just this girl Karen I know.
They meet up. There have been more like little behind the scenes things. I don't know if any of you guys read, before the show came out, they put up a really short comic, a digital comic, like Jessica Jones #1, which was basically her dealing with what's his name? The gangster, the regular gangster that we get, from Daredevil. The one who keeps getting his nose broken.
God, I forgot his name. But yeah, the one guy who survived the dock attack.
Are you talking about Owsley?
No.
The smaller dude.
The bald dude with the leather jacket?
No, it's the black guy who keeps getting peered up by Daredevil. I
don't know.
She like attacks him. She like finds him in the but
sorry,
Jesse.
The live chat.
Live chat. And the live chat also pointed out that there's a teaser where Jessica Jones gets handed a Nelson and Murdoch card while she's out drinking. Because of course.
There's like a 10-second thing where
it's like nothing, but it's just like whoa.
It's nothing.
Implication.
But it's everything.
I loved Malcolm too, how like when she came home we saw that, you know, her bed had been made, because there was this great scene between Luke Cage and Claire when Luke Cage wakes up and he and Claire's like, now you got to stay here, and he's like, okay, I'm thirsty, and she goes to get him a glass of water, and of course we know he's gonna run away.
As soon as he asks for the water, I'm like, he's gone.
But her reaction was brilliant. She just looks, he's gone, and she just like takes a sip of the water.
My water now, asshole.
She's
another one of you freaking people. You just ditch me in strange apartments.
But I really liked that Malcolm like went into her apartment and he'd made up the bed, and he had just and
Cleaned
there was
up
the
what he could.
yeah, and there was the really nice touch of there was a mug and a whiskey bottle on the table for
Yeah.
her.
Yeah. All right.
Turk was his name.
Turk.
I want to
Yes,
make
yes,
sure
yes,
we
yes,
get
yes.
through all the other stuff that there is in this episode. But first, I want to take a quick moment to thank everyone who's rated us on iTunes
Yes.
throughout the season. Hopefully, we can talk more iTunes reviews when we maybe get a season 2, and we'll talk about the potential of that and stuff a little bit towards the end with some news and gossip that we may have. Like definitely some gossip. Some gossip.
We have some goss.
So I want to do some quick shout outs just to make sure we have time. I just want to read the names. Mr. Ron Coley, your own Jim Bombed 95, Petich 32, Joyu Cuisine, Bill Nye the Critic guy explains why he loves these guys. NF 414, I just like this, Best Kilgrave Support Group. We don't need a support group anymore. We murdered his ass.
Yeah.
Jose R. Jr. As AfterBuzz TV is the perfect topper to Jessica Jones, and the amazing Corey B. Thank you, everyone.
You guys put us on the new news and noteworthy
Exactly.
Like
TV and
right
film.
at the top
So
of new and
cool.
noteworthy. Like,
So
we were like
cool.
right when you click on the page.
Yeah, everyone
it's
who's
fun.
everyone who's commented on YouTube, all of our people in the live chat, like this has been like none of us got spoiled.
Yeah.
None of us got spoiled.
I didn't get anything spoiled for
like,
me.
It
No.
is insane.
You guys are
you
great.
guys. Like
Yes,
you guys are fantastic.
Still there. We're still on the front page.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a blast. You've made us, as far as I can tell, the #1 Jessica Jones show on iTunes.
It's pretty good.
I can't make that
Until
claim for
Jessica
YouTube.
Jones
It's a-
shows up on iTunes.
Yeah.
Then it will be the #1
the
show.
number one Jessica Jones show. Yeah.
But okay. Anyway, not a lot of time left, so. We talked a little bit about Malcolm. We did. So I think we did. You guys have any other thoughts on him? before we move on?
I loved that there was the little. So in Alias, there is a character named Malcolm.
Yeah. Nothing like this character.
No, nothing like this character at all. You know, he's this redheaded teenager who's just like an obsessive fan of Jessica Jones, but he does go to her office and she's like passed out on her desk and he answers her phone for her.
Yep.
Just like Malcolm did in the end of this.
Yeah, and he answers the phone like, Alias Investigations, how can I help you?
Yep.
And Malcolm is going to basically fulfill the same role as that Malcolm, even if he got there a different way.
Yeah, I loved it.
That was great.
It was always a little weird to me why they and I was just sort of willing to like whatever, it doesn't matter, this character's great, so I don't care, but like why name him after another character? This is why.
Maybe it was the payoff at the end and like a nod.
It was really nice.
Because like it's only the nerds like us that even
It was this kind of a nod. That was for our
It's like
video
also the
viewers
name of the
only.
boat was Goldfish, which is a Brubaker comic. Like,
I thought it was Bendis. It was Bendis.
Bendis,
not Brubaker. There are a lot of names.
A lot of B names. Brubaker, Bendis.
Fraction.
That's not a B name, but
Oh,
yeah.
I thought we were just saying names.
Regardless, that was great. Bucky.
Gary.
Captain Bucky O'Hare.
Yeah. All right. We got a little look at Jerry.
Oh
These episodes. As like she's like, I've done everything. She's like, you're gonna represent this guy, you're gonna save him, and she pulls out all the stops and basically uses a defense that is she's gonna be able to become like the Kilgrave defense for all these people who up till now have been affected.
Super interesting ending for Jerry, I thought. And to see that moment where Jessica's been arrested for murdering Kilgrave, and they're sitting across the table from the prosecutors, basically like having this conversation, and Jerry basically just laying down the law, being like, nope, this is how it's going to be. I have all of these people to testify, and Jerry has still got it. You know what I mean? Like after all the shit she's gone through.
Well, I think
Jessica
it also
brought it out of her.
I think Jessica also like had that great line like. Doing so, like you should do something good. I'm paraphrasing a little bit because it helps with the suffering.
Yes.
And like that really, I think Jerry has been knocked down. Like, she's somebody who has always been in power, and that was the first time when she got killed, like being Kilgraved and then being attacked by her ex like that, like where she's gonna die, and she believes in that moment, like in that at the time, like she's gonna die.
Well, I think it also goes back to the thing where it's like it doesn't erase the bad things you've done, but it helps you feel better. Like it helps. It still helps. Yeah. Which is, I think, the thing, like, Kilgrave, when it was what WWJD, what would Jessica Jones do? In that episode, he's like, well, I saved people. Now I can like, erase the bad I've done. It's like, that's not how it works. You've still done bad, but it helps.
Yeah.
Which is a big difference.
Yeah, and it'll help her just it'll give her something to move forward with and a guide, like, this is what you do now. And that can sort of lead us into how she's going to become, not only is she going to become like sort of the superhero defense attorney in terms of like someone who's finding ways to work with these powered people within the confines of the law.
I can think of a couple.
Yeah, there might be somebody who needs her defense, like coming up in 3 series from now.
Jennifer Walt, like a She-Hulk situation.
Well, okay, I would be the first one lined up to see She-Hulk the series.
Yes.
Oh, that would be amazing.
But I mean, for now, and let's say she has a client that maybe she held as a dude in the books.
Yes.
Iron Fist.
Right.
Is that where you were going with that?
Yeah. This is putting her in that position where she's going to take those kinds of clients because now she's the one who knows how to deal with it.
Yeah.
And with the note that she's being pushed up by her partners, does anybody think that there's a possibility of Hogarth, Nelson, and Murdoch?
That thought did cross my mind. I don't
think so either. But I'm a fan of looking across that line and going. Yeah.
But yes, no,
I don't think so.
Definitely crossed my mind.
I could totally see an episode of Daredevil where they're battling each other in court.
Yeah. And then we can get some She-Hulk action.
And speaking of like, while we're talking about other series, I think it's time to go do some news and gossip up in here.
AFTERBUZZ TV.
Okay. I'm giving it to Jesse because you're the one who saw this.
Guys, really quickly on... Now I forget, was it Brewbakers or was it...
It was Bendis.
It was Brian Michael Bendis.
On Brian Michael Bendis' Twitter.
Wrote Alias.
Alias. For like maybe 2 minutes, he responded to someone saying, yes, it's true, she's coming back. And then posted a picture of Jessica Jones. And then immediately deleted it. Like, I showed it to Zach and Emma, and we were like, "What? Let's take a look at it."
And in a flash, it was gone.
And it was gone.
Yeah, I literally Jesse read it. I clicked on my computer to go to his Twitter.
Yeah.
Nothing.
And it was Jessica Jones, clearly drawn as Krysten Ritter.
Yeah, it was an image that it wasn't an original image. Somebody sent me this on Twitter like recently, and it's a really cool like poster of Jessica Jones. But it was just like, and he posts other artists' work all the time on his Tumblr. But
so either that's a season 2. Or that's her coming back into the comic books.
Which she hasn't been, at least heavily featured in the comics for a while.
She's been a side character at best for a while.
Yeah, it 100% stands to reason that Marvel would want to capitalize and put out an ongoing book for her. Yeah. Right now, I need to go find the Pulse. Like, I haven't read the Pulse yet.
This is good.
It was just like the stores around me weren't carrying it immediately, or they were just sold out. Yeah. So I'm gonna get it over the holidays. Yeah. But along with Immortal Iron Fist. But that's huge news.
That's
because
big news.
The fact, if he had just put it up, like, I would have thought like very little of it. Of she's the Defenders. They're about to start shooting the Defenders. Of course,
it's like the slate at the end of the credits saying Iron Man will return. And
exactly. But for him to tweet it and then delete it says that he was like, oh wait, I shouldn't have posted that.
It's such serendipity that we got out of watching it and then saw it. Like, all 3 of us saw it.
No,
And then and that it was not there anymore.
Yeah, so that is potentially huge news. I think we broke this story open. AfterBuzz TV exclusive.
Get those exclusives.
AfterBuzz TV exclusive.
Get those exclusives, guys.
But yeah, so and then as we go out, I want to, because we could talk forever about this show, and we've touched on everybody's storylines. There's so much more to go forward in this show in terms of IGH. They're just starting to hint at that stuff. Like, what is Jessica Jones going to do next? How is she going to eventually tie into both the Luke Cage series, the Daredevil season, if she's going to be in Daredevil season 2. I personally think that Will Simpson is going to be a big bad in season 2, and as I think my prediction for that would just be Will Simpson is the big bad that the Punisher and Daredevil both go after with different methods, and that's where they get into like a side fight, almost like we did with Simpson and Jessica in this series. But I want to ask you guys, as a fun game, realistically or dream,
I got a little both.
Phase 2 of Netflix series. So we know we have Daredevil season 2, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and then the Defenders.
And that's the end of phase 1.
I will say I don't think we are going to get Jessica Jones season 2 before Defenders. I think there's a very little chance that's going to happen. Because they have plans for her doing a whole other series is gonna really step on that. I don't think it needs it right now. We would only need it post other interactions with characters.
They're treating it a lot like the films because like Daredevil season 2 is like Iron Man 2.
Exactly. So exactly. They got Iron Man 2 into phase 1, but they didn't need to do other sequels within phase 1. Yes, exactly. So I want to know. I'm gonna start with Jesse because I feel like he's gonna blow our minds.
I got
I want to. So, like, what is your dream? Well, both. What is your dreams lineup for phase 2, and what do you think is realistic?
Well, I think what they're doing is basically setting up new Avengers. The new Avengers book has always been like street level people, a lot of Wolverines, a lot of Spider-Men, a lot of Iron Fist and Luke Cage. So my dream kind of phase 2 heroes that get introduced and have their solo shows. I would love a Heroes for Hire featuring Misty Knight. I want to see Misty Knight in the real world. I would love a White Tiger show. I would love She-Hulk. I would like Moon Knight. And I would think I would like an Elektra solo show. Because we know Elektra's been cast for Daredevil, and so it would be nice to see an Elektra solo show, maybe the resurrection and redemption of her, maybe her interacting with the Hand, that kind of stuff. I think She-Hulk works right in this world. I think
Law and Justice.
I think Moon Knight works right in this world. I think we could also do Spider-Woman. Probably just call her Jessica Drew, or maybe even give her a new name since her name is Jessica and also Spider-Woman. So maybe a new name for her just so it's not confusing, but Spider-Woman.
The Jessicas on Netflix.
And then Cloak and Dagger would be really interesting as well. They
keep pulling out that Cloak and Dagger.
I want to give some other people some time to go really low. Because you just basically listed all superheroes. I should have ended with you.
It's all street level superheroes.
I was going to say, and I feel like this is somewhere in between realistic and dreams, simply because at the very end of this series, we saw that Dorothy sent Trish all of her IGH files. I would love an offshoot show about Trish, obviously becoming Hellcat, but in her sort of mission to figure out what's up with IGH.
That'd be awesome. A Hellcat show would be awesome.
That'd be awesome.
So you only had one? I wrote down a bunch because I thought
Jesse named every single superhero.
I want to know what you guys want. So of Jesse's massive list.
Jesse's massive. No, I think we brought up the idea of She-Hulk and sort of the whole kind of attorney crossover thing. So I think that'd
be really fun.
Yeah, it would be really, really.
It's like a Phoenix Wright,
but
in Marvel.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Mark, what are you thinking?
I'm with you on Heroes for Hire, Moon Knight. In super dream world, I have no idea how they would fit, but I would just love to see Netflix take on this. a Warriors 3 show.
Oh,
Like-
that would be so awesome.
Like seriously, like if I want to see
Volstagg.
exactly Volstagg is flipping amazing. Sorry.
You're allowed.
Yeah, so yeah, we are. So yeah, something like that. Out of just sheer madness, we got Ghost Rider back. I want to see a Sons of Anarchy-esque Ghost Rider with just like the writers from hell.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
maybe
just
you do
pure
the
madness.
the last new version of him
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
he's a Latin kid from East LA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That could be really cool.
That'd be really
Could be cool.
fun.
I think it would be a natural progression of Iron Fist, Immortal Weapons.
Immortal Weapons would be
That would
so
be fun.
cool.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
I just reread that.
Not
Yeah.
So
just
good.
Punisher, but Punisher Warzone, where it's him in the war.
Okay.
Okay.
And you might see an interaction between him and Simpson early on. Squirrel Girl, 100%.
Oh, that'd be
yes.
awesome.
And along the same vein of yours, Malcolm. I want to see an
Yes!
entire show based on Malcolm.
I just love it.
That would be very interesting. I think Malcolm could get a web series, and that could be really cool.
I think so,
I would love to see
yeah.
Marvel expand into this in like very short form series to get some
Yeah.
of these characters expanded,
Yeah.
but without investing in massive storylines that they don't necessarily
That they don't need. Yeah, I agree.
Great
So,
Lakes Avengers.
Realistically, what I think Phase 2 is going to look like, I think we're going to get a show that's either called Heroes for Hire or just Luke Cage and Iron Fist together as
Right.
one series that would also have Jessica Jones. I'm predicting that
In
they're
it,
going to wind
yeah.
up together,
Yeah.
and so it's like all three of them. That's a crazy series, but I
Yeah.
think realistically, if they can pull it off, they would do that. I think Moon Knight is gonna be there. He's either gonna backdoor pilot him like Punisher. I think realistically, Phase 2 has a Punisher series. Not that I necessarily need it, but I think that's what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
Daredevil season 3 is gonna be part of it, and Blade. I
Yeah,
think we're
Blade
gonna
is a
see.
good call.
yeah.
I think realist. Not that I necessarily need it. I think we're going to get Blade, a Netflix series for Blade, because they know that the market will respond to it and will watch it.
And,
Yeah,
but
sure.
and also the Blade series on Spike, it wasn't that bad.
No, people love Blade.
Yeah.
Like people, and we know that
was
they
weird,
met with
but-
Wesley Snipes recently.
Yep.
No one knows exactly for what. I think him not to be Blade,
Yeah.
but to produce
Right,
it
yeah,
would
yeah.
be phenomenal. In my dreamy dream world, I would love to see. I would love to see Moon Knight as part of the lineup. Maybe Deathlock carrying over from S.H.I.E.L.D. and doing his own thing.
Yeah.
Could be very interesting.
But that would be a line in the sand saying, now these two stories are 100% linked, and anybody from S.H.I.E.L.D. can show up in Netflix. Anybody from Netflix
Which
can show up on
Jeff
S.H.I.E.L.D.
Loeb has inferred is going to happen, just not soon, because they want Netflix
Right.
to get established before they start doing that. But they
This
have
is
said they're
dreamy
going to do
dream
it.
world. Anything can happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want a 1970s blaxploitation style Nick Fury saga.
I mean, that could be Heroes for Hire as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be but I just mean I want young Nick
Fury. Yeah, that'd be really.
I think that could be the fun style to do it in,
Yeah.
but I want young Nick. Basically, I just want young Nick Fury.
Yeah.
And then Miss Marvel.
Oh
That'd be
yeah. Oh totally.
Which one?
The current Kamala
Yeah,
Khan.
Kamala Khan.
Kamala Khan.
That's
No,
what I was
well,
hoping.
Carol Danvers is getting a movie.
Yeah.
I want a Kamala Khan.
I would
and there's a
love a
lot
Kamala
of rumors
Khan
that
Miss
ABC
Marvel.
is developing it. The only reason I hesitate is I think that's stronger actually on ABC.
Yeah.
I think they'll do
Yeah,
more with
yeah.
it. And then my insane world for Phase 3 is because I will never get a Spider-Gwen series.
I know.
Silk.
Yeah.
Silk.
Okay.
I'm a huge fan of the Silk books that Robbie Thompson
Yeah.
has been writing, and I would love to see a series based on it, because assuming that the story remains the quality that it's been, which I think it will.
Yeah.
That's my
Those are all good.
crazy
I
thoughts.
also think Echo would be interesting. Who is another villain / hero from Daredevil. It is a deaf woman who is like trained by the Hand, and she fights Daredevil.
Yeah, the chat has this thing in Cloak and Dagger.
Yeah.
They want White Tiger and Moon Knight. Jesse said it. Moon Cow is like Squirrel Girl.
Yeah.
Make a splash.
Well, in Squirrel Girl, she could turn up in something with Jessica Jones and Luke Cage, because like she like babysits for them.
And also, yeah, exactly.
This is a good one. Ghost 8386. AIM.
I mean, it would be nice to see some AIM.
But I would love like a true
just
like
super science show.
Yeah.
That'd be really fun.
And that's why I suggested Squirrel Girl, is because we need some damn levity in the Netflix.
Well, that's why I think Miss Marvel, it would be that fit, but that's an AB. I think that's this is the thing is, do you do light stuff on ABC and dark stuff on Netflix? I'm not sure.
Iron Fist will be lighter.
Well, guys, it has been an absolute pleasure, to recap this series. I can't express enough how much fun it's been and how much I love this panel and how much I'm looking forward to continuing to talk about Marvel here at AfterBuzz TV. Yes. Be sure to catch us on Agent Carter, me, Jesse, and Emma. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. will come back after that. Everything you can think of, we'll be talking about it here. So until then, Jesse Klein.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at JessKlein1. Read Immortal Iron Fist. It's good for Iron Fist and Luke Cage background information. And you can see me doing comedy all around Los Angeles.
I put Immortal Iron Fist on my wish list, it's like on my next queue of things to read. I'm Emma Fyffe. You can follow me anywhere. Emma Fyffes are sold at Emma Fyffe, which is my name. And I do a whole bunch of shows here at AfterBuzz TV. I'm just so excited for Agent Carter to come back and to get to talk more Marvel. And right now, most of the shows I do are on hiatus, but just follow me on Twitter. You'll know all about it.
Does Amazon do same-day delivery on the Emma Fyffes?
Is that something you could drone?
I'm working on it.
And if there's ever an extra space, I know it's a long line, but I would love to get back together and talk to you guys about Agent Carter.
Yes.
I love that show. You can follow me on Twitter at SoapboxMark, doing so much stuff at the network. We're doing a Star Wars review Friday for Jedi Alliance, which is our show on the Popcorn Talk Network, and wrestling stuff today. So follow me if you watch NXT. I know some of the folks in the chat do. So please, we're going to be live soon. Thank you for joining us on this crazy adventure. Zach!
Yeah, thank you guys again so much. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at @ZachWilson, and some other cool stuff potentially on YouTube coming up from me in the near future or early next year. Doctor Who's Christmas special will be happening a few days late, I think, but we're figuring out the scheduling.
Nice.
So be sure to tune in for that later in the year. Until Luke Cage, I'm Zach Wilson, and thanks for geeking out with us.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Sweet Christmas!
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.